Are you a mompreneur struggling with balancing it all? You're balancing business and babies and making money and making lunches and carpooling and launching and all the things involved with owning a business and founding and growing and raising beautiful children. Well, watch this video for how I balance my life as a mompreneur running a multiple six-figure business with two littles under 5. I'm Kimberly Spencer, founder of CrownYourself.com, helping visionary leaders stand out fearlessly, build their empire, and crown themselves. Make sure, by the way, that you hit the subscribe button and the little bell, ding-a-ling, so that you are notified every Tuesday and Friday when our new video goes live to serve you epically in building your empire, especially if you are a mompreneur like me. So I have two little wonderful, precious children who are adorable and they exude a lot of energy, don't they? Like, I have a 4-year-old, almost 5, and an almost 1-year-old. They're born in the same month. So like they're like, it's basically a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. And that is a lot. And on top of that, I have a business that I run with my team, and I have a family and a husband. So there's a lot going on. And I get the question, like, how do you balance it all? How do you do it? How do you do it all? First of all, can we address that this question is never asked of men? Like, can we first address that? Like, nobody's going up to a man and who's a dad and being like, my husband has not once gotten this question. It's because I bring home the bacon and then he fries it up. But my husband still has not once ever gotten this question of like, how do you do it all? And he does like panels around the world, going to voiceover cons and all the things. But he has not once gotten this question. I've gotten it multiple times. How do you do it all? First of all, as women, we need to stop thinking that we are the outlier. There are so many of us who are doing it all and doing it all successfully and doing it all gracefully. So finding your tribe of women who are going forth and conquering and choosing to have a holistic life with doing the mom thing, doing the business owner thing, doing the wifey thing, and rocking it in all areas, we need to acknowledge that first and foremost, because the problem is that when we start thinking that we are the outlier, and yes, we don't have that many examples as women when a woman succeeds at the highest levels. Like if you look at the top billionaires of the world, there's like 1 or 2 women. And so women are seen as the outlier. So we first have to stop thinking of ourselves as the outlier. Now, I'm going to give you the tactile strategies of how I balance business and life. And the first mistake is thinking that we're the outlier, thinking that like it's abnormal for us to be doing both. And the second mistake is for us to think that this thing is a balance is actually a reality. Like I do not, period, ever believe in balance. Why? So if you think about balance, the image of a scale comes to mind. Now, if on one hand I have profit and on the other hand I have my children, I don't want to increase profit at the expense of my children, nor do I want to increase my time with my kids and decrease my profit. Do you see the problem with the metaphor in general that we have with balance? And the reason why this metaphor is a problem is because our subconscious mind thinks in metaphors. So if we have the metaphor of balance, there is a belief within that metaphor that something must be taken away in order to achieve that balance. So you could take away, if you have profit up here and you have children here and you want to balance a scale, then you take away from your profit to have a mediocre relationship with your kids? To have a mediocre profit so that everything kind of stays at mediocre level? I'm sorry, I don't ascribe to that belief system, and I don't think you should either. That's just my opinion, and I'm delivering that freely. So feel free to adopt that belief that balance is absolute bullshit and is a belief system that we need to cut the metaphor out, cut that metaphor out. Because once we cut that metaphor out of our lives and actually adopt a different one in its place, our subconscious mind can start to allow us to harmonize everything. So instead of balance, I traded that metaphor a long time ago for the metaphor of harmony. So if you think of an orchestra, if you have one section in an orchestra blaring too loud, it's going to be annoying. You're not going to want to sit and listen to it. It's going to be overwhelming. If you have the horn section blowing nonstop, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so intense. I cannot sit through another hour of this. But if you have the harmony of the horn section blares and then it goes into that lovely romantic string section and then it gets into some drums and some guitar. And so it allows for that flow of the sections of your orchestra. The same is true with your life as an entrepreneur and as a mother. So harmony is not something coming at the expense of something else. Harmony allows for one section of your orchestra to crescendo while the other side is supporting it with some mellifluous strings. And then once the decrescendo happens, then the other side is allowed to crescendo and they're supported with a lovely little bit of horn section going. So when we shift the metaphor, it changes our subconscious perception around how to do it all as an entrepreneur and as a mom. And now comes the wonderful tactile nitty-gritty how-to for all my how thinkers of how to actually harmonize all those wonderful pieces of your mom life and business life. And the first thing is planning. Getting it out from here and onto some place, something, a calendar, a Trello board. I live and breathe by what is on my calendar. My kids' schedules are on the calendar for when they need to go to karate or gymnastics. My husband's schedule is on the calendar for when he goes to a voiceover job or has a convention. My coaching calendar, my filming calendar, it's all on the calendar so that we are able to see an overall picture of where all those pieces are. So planning out your week, planning out your month, planning out your quarters, and then expand that to planning out your year. Now, of course, we all like to default to this "God laughs when you make plans" quotation that is on a bumper sticker. And while yes, plans can change, having a plan initially and then being flexible and adaptable enough to move and pivot and dance with that plan, it allows you to dance and shift and change rather than everything being reactionary. I work with a lot of leaders who have had childhood or experiential life trauma, either capital T or little t. And when you have experienced trauma, it's very, very common for leaders to be very then reactionary in their thinking, with their productivity, with their decision making. I mean, there's a lot of unhealed trauma in the world. Let's just be real about that. So if your day is based on reacting to the urgent needs of the world, of your children, of your business, then there's no plan, there's no long-term thinking for sustainability. And if you're constantly reacting, then your system is constantly in fight or flight, and that can lead very quickly to burnout and chronic issues down the road, which we don't want. So planning is key. Getting an overall plan, allow yourself thinking time as the CEO of your life and as the co-CEO or CEO of your family. Be able to look at the calendar, set a plan, and at least have some idea. I also like to include, because I work primarily with leaders who are looking to have more freedom in their lives and businesses, plan vacations. Plan your personal life. Put in the things in your calendar that you enjoy. Put in those dance lessons. Put in that, you may not be able to book the vacation right now. I'm not saying go off and book every single trip. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. But put it in the calendar so that you have those days blocked off already for those weekend trips with your partner, for those fun adventures with your kids, for those days of just thinking time with your team so that you can strategize and plan for the next year. Step number 2 is communication. Over communicate. Communication is key. Communication is queen. And you'd think, of course I say this because I'm the founder of the Communication Queens agency where we help people get booked on podcasts, but communication really is queen. Like, no one can read your mind yet. So if you can't read somebody's mind, then explicit communication is key. I am taking the kids now. Can you take the kids at this time? Can you do this because I'm going to be doing this in my business? Explicit communication within your family is essential for you to feel supported as an entrepreneur. Explicit communication with your team. I'm going to be unavailable for X, Y, and Z dates. I'm going to be unavailable from this and this time because I'm taking my kids to gymnastics class. Explicit communication with your team, with your clients, with your family leads to everyone being clear on what their roles, boundaries, and experience is going to be within the container of work life, family life, etc. So communicate clearly. Now, what I mean by explicit communication is communicate stating what you need and want. So it'd be really nice if you could take the kids for a little bit. That's not explicit. That is passive asking, and you are better than that queen. A queen commands, hey, I need you to take the kids from this to this time. Can you do that? And here's the thing. You don't have to be a bitch about it. If your partner or your husband or your wife says, no, I can't take it at that time. I was planning on doing this. Okay, great. Now you have explicit communication and both sides can now be heard. So now you can start to communicate. Oh, I didn't know you would be doing that. Next time, could you add that to the calendar? Or, oh, you're going to be doing that. So how about if I take the kids for this time and then that allows you that amount of time so that then we can pivot. And then after you do that, which is more urgent, then I can do this. So that allows you to have a foundation of explicit communication where both parties and all parties are feeling heard, valued, respected, and understood. And ultimately, as human beings, we all just want to feel heard, valued, respected, and understood. So once you plan and communicate, then delegate. Delegate it out. Get it out of you. Stop doing all the things all by yourself. Delegate. So, hey, can you watch the kids at this time? Awesome. Great. Kids are delegated. Now you get 30 minutes or an hour of work time. Then work gets delegated to the team. Oh, I'm going to be gone from this hour to this hour doing kids gymnastics class. So team, here, I need you to do this, this, and this on the checklist. That way, and the checklist only comes because you have a plan. And if you have a plan, then that allows you to communicate, and then that allows you to get your part of the plan done so that then you can delegate the rest to your team. This is why I highly, highly recommend, if you are a mompreneur doing the solopreneur struggle, hire a VA, hire some support, get some support. If you need some support and how to get some support, then click down below to get the Build Your Dream Queen Team Masterclass, a 2-day masterclass that I hosted that you can get right now to just support you in hiring that support so that they will be aligned. I have heard from my clients that this training is so dang good, it should go into corporate, because that is how good it is. So if you want a training that will kick your booty to getting the support that you actually frankly deserve, then grab the training. Let's get to it. Let's get down to business. Let's get you the support that you need in your business so that you can start delegating more of what is not in your zone of genius. Because I have seen a direct correlation between the amount of money a business makes and the amount of time the owner spends in their zone of genius. So you can start delegating what is not in your zone of genius and then start enjoying more time with the people that you love, doing the things that you love, and having more free time. The other piece of delegating is delegating to your family, to your team. So one of the big struggles that I've seen with a lot of mompreneurs is they're like, oh, I have all this cleaning that I have to do. And first of all, I listen to the language as an NLP coach and I hear have to, and I'm like, okay, you get to. I mean, you're choosing to, so you like to have a clean house. Now, if everybody is of the same value that a clean house is really great to have, then how can you enroll your team, your family, your kids in the cleanup process? Now, initially, just like with training an employee or a VA or a new contractor that you're working with, there is a little bit of training time that you need to allot for, especially if you've been the one who has just, fine, I'll just do it myself sort of attitude. But train your kids, train your team, enroll them, communicate that you need their support in keeping the house clean, and then ask your kids. I mean, I started doing this with my 3-year-old back when Declan was 3 years old, 3 years old. We would start basic cleanup, just basic cleanup. Like, it didn't have to be perfect, but basic cleanup. And then when he got to 3, he got to taking his dishes to the sink. So he's not doing the dishes, but he's doing a little piece of that process to make my job a lot easier and to make my husband's job a lot easier. Because let's be honest, he actually does more dishes than I do because he does all the cooking. But just being able to delegate pieces of that process to your children, teaching them organization, teaching them the value of contribution. It is not just you doing your own thing the whole time. This is an opportunity for you to lead as the queen and delegate appropriately. Of course, you're not going to delegate vacuuming to your 1-year-old, but you can give him a toy and then guide that 1-year-old as he toddles along to the basket where those specific toys go in, and he will contribute to the cleanup. I have seen children as young as 8 months old do this. So if cleanup is one of the biggest struggles I see with mompreneurs and the biggest complaints of that they do it a lot. So how can you delegate that to the household team that you have? The other piece is you can always also hire a housekeeper. It doesn't have to be every week. It can be once a month, but having that housekeeper that allows you to delegate those tasks that are not in your zone of genius. You want to be playing with your kids, not spending all your time cleaning with your kids. So these 3 pieces of plan, over communicate, and delegate are the key pieces to how I harmonize being able to operate a business and a family and love all aspects of what it is that I do. If this video served me, tell me what you are delegating to your family or to your team in the comments below. This is one of my favorite things to work with my clients on what can they get delegated off their plate onto someone else's, working as a team and allowing for that contribution so that you get to feel the epic support that you deserve. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends, especially if you've got a fellow mama who's like doing all the things and like needs a little bit of support. Share this with her. More queens standing in their power is what this world needs. And lastly, as always, my fellow sovereigns, own your throne, mind your business, because your reign is now. Check out these videos next for more tips on doing the mompreneur harmonious dance. Build their empire and crown themselves while trash trucks pass by. And thank God my 4-year-old is not here to like hear this complete screaming in the background of trash trucks, because Thursday is like a big deal day. So it's like a big deal.